Boulevard News Sports, a conversation with. My name is Kevin Jeffrey, and my guest today is head coach Jake Owens of the 2024 Atlantic 1A state champion.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes,
Space
sir.
Coast Vipers. That's does that have a good ring to it?
It's got a really good. It's still. I think it. You know, I'm still kind of reflecting on the whole thing, but yeah, it's still. It's still one of those things when you hear it, it quite hasn't hit you yet. But yes, that sounds very good.
What was the moment when the final seconds ticked off the clock? What went through your mind?
Uh, you know, a lot of things go through your mind. Obviously, you know, you think about, first and foremost, I'm thinking about all of my players and how happy I am for all of them. You know, it's all about the players. That's why we do what we do. And you know, I think that was the first thing that went through my mind is, man, I'm so excited for these guys that have been very resilient. They've been through a couple, quite a few
Lean
up years.
years.
Yes. And you know, for them, they deserve all of it. They deserve all of it. And I think that was the biggest thing, was how excited I was for them. You know, the game came really down to the last couple plays, so didn't really have a lot of time to think about that. Still coaching, but after we broke up that final play and lined up in victory formation, I think it kind of hit me. And again, once it hit zero, seeing the looks on all the players' faces and my coaches' faces and everybody that's involved with the program, it really hit me then as I was going onto the field, and I'm just so happy for everybody that's involved, and so proud of everyone that put in all the work and all the effort into getting us to where we are. So it's an incredible year.
Now you beat the name of the team was Bell, right?
Yes, sir.
In 21-19. And before you talked about some lean years last year, 1-8. And how do you go from 1-8 to a championship year?
Well, I wasn't here for the 1-8, you know, and I wasn't hired on until February. So, you know, when I was hired on in February, as soon as I walked through those doors, I told everybody involved with the program, we are starting with a clean slate. You know, I honestly, at that point, I really didn't even care what happened the day before, you know, and I tried to press that point onto all of our players that it just doesn't matter what happened in the past. This is going to be a brand new year, a brand new program, and really a new era in Vipers football, and so for us, it really wasn't about what had happened before, because I wasn't here for that. You know, I wasn't here for the 1-8 years. So it was just about moving forward and getting the players prepared and starting to build the culture right away. I'm a big into building culture. I think that is the most important thing and driving point for a program, for any sports program.
So culture, what do you mean when you build it?
Yeah, I mean, from top to bottom, you know, the belief and the understanding of what it takes to win, and the hard work that goes into it, and the leadership that's involved. You know, there's a lot of different parts when you're trying to build a culture in your program. But for me, right away, it's that belief and that understanding that you know, if you put the work in and you put the time in and you do things the right way, that great things are going to happen. And so right away, when we walked in the front door, I knew, number one, I had to put together a great coaching staff, because for all great head coaches, there's a great staff that makes them look great a lot of the time. So I knew the importance of that, and not only that, but helping build that culture. And I, you know, I'm very fortunate. I have an incredible coaching staff, great leaders, great men, great mentors. So, you know, that was a big part of it too. But as soon as we walked in the doors, again, the 1-8 thing, it just didn't matter. We erased all that. We didn't talk about it. We didn't worry about it. We just worried about the future of the program. And, you know, kudos to the players, especially for being able to right away buy into and understanding, you know, what we're trying to build there, and the culture that we're trying to implement. And they did just an incredible job with it. You know, we had a lot of kids step up that were great leaders for us this year. Um, and you know, you need that. You need that voice. It carries a lot more weight when it's coming from their peers sometimes than when it's coming from their coaches. So we had a lot of great captains on the team that stepped up, that helped deliver that same message
Hmm.
that I was delivering every day to the players. And then again, same with the coaches. You know, I mean, to build a culture, it's not just the players, it's not just the head coach, but it's the coaching staff. And like I said, man, I'm so blessed. I am surrounded by such great men that go out there every day. And you know, the coaching profession, there's it's one of those professions where you are working day and night, and there's not a lot of credit being given
Hmm.
um, to the assistant coaches, but they are such a huge driving point of the program. And when I came in, the first thing I knew that I needed to do was to bring back some of those coaches that helped me build Space Coast when I was there before. So I was able to do that, and go out and um, uh, Coach Rennell Sandy and Coach Derek Spivey were two guys that helped me build that program, and they joined on board to the coaching staff. And then I went out. I was able to bring back some of the players that had played for me when we were one of the best teams in this county, so they understood my message and the way that I run things.
Hmm.
And they understood that, and they had been a part of it, and they knew how to win. So I went out and I was able to hire Darius Spivey and rehire Liam Hinsman, and those are two guys that had played for me. And then I went out and you know, I wanted some of that consistency. And you know, I had spoke to some of the other coaches that were on the previous staff, and Kyle Davis and Ryan Starkey were two of those guys. They're just great leaders and great mentors. And uh, you know, I was able to keep them on board. And I was able to add Brandon Wiggins, who is another guy who's been coaching this county a long time. And we had never worked together, but we had crossed paths a couple times. I knew what kind of a mentor he was to the young men. So you know, it's just one of those things where you just have, you know, everything kind of just falls into place. And I'm just very blessed to be surrounded by such great people, and obviously, like I said, great kids as well.
So how do you motivate kids? So when I was younger in Oklahoma, the motivation was, well, I want to tell you what some of the motivations were. You know, this is back some years ago. They had a lot of leeway. How do you motivate kids today? I mean, it's really difficult in a lot of ways, isn't it?
It's a different, we live in a different world. You know, we live in a different world, and there's so many distractions out there in today's world that you're constantly having to try to battle with. But you know, for me, I'm a very genuine guy. You know, I I truly, I truly love and care about each one of my players, not just as football players, but you know, I care about them going on and doing great things after high school. And you know, I'm still in touch with hundreds of players that I've coached 20 plus years. Uh,
Do you believe that that's a big part of it?
I do. I mean, I think building relationships, but being genuine about it. You know, it's one of those things where when I put together a program, I build it and make it very much like a family atmosphere. You know, I tell the players all the time, you're going to get tough love from me. You know, I'm gonna tell you how it is, but at the same time, I'm gonna appreciate you and love you like you were my own kids. And you know, I think I do. I think that's a big part of it. but like I said, I think the important part of that is, being genuine. I mean,
Hmm.
you truly need to care about these players. A lot of them, you don't know what's going on outside of school in these players' lives, and
The kids put a lot of emphasis on that too, right? I mean, it's almost like that they really take you to the side if they don't really believe that you're genuine.
oh yeah, I mean, absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
Hmm.
I think, when I was younger, I mean, our coaches back in the day, there wasn't a lot of that,
Correct.
so it was just a different time. And, for me, I think that's one of the things that got me into coaching was, I didn't have a lot of help from my coaches. I didn't have that relationship to where, they all they really cared about was what I was doing on the field, and not about me as a young man. So, like I said, for me, my job is not only winning, but my job is also making sure that all of these young men that play for me have an opportunity after high school. Whether that's to go play college football or the military or the workforce, whatever that might be. I think those are the things that really make this job great. I mean, obviously, you do this because you love football and you love coaching, but at the same time, if you don't care about these players and care about them as young men and trying to help them understand what it means to be a great husband and a great father and a great student athlete and a great employee, whatever the
Hmm.
case may be, then you're not doing it for the right reasons,
Hmm.
because that's what it's all about. It's about the players, and I coaching's always been my passion. I've been doing it for 20 plus years, and um, you know, through the good times and through the bad times, you always have those forever relationships with these guys that you go to battle with week after week. And it's a grind. It's a grind. And I mean, my job is 12 months a year, but even for the players, I mean, what we ask, in the off season and in the weight room and practice is a grind. It's a constant. So understanding and appreciating what those players go through on a weekly basis, not including, some of them are working, some of them, they some of them are taking tough schedules of tough
Hmm.
classes, and just being there to support them academically as well, and making sure that they're getting help if they need help academically, and again, putting an emphasis on the importance of academics, uh, which my coaches never did for me. But understanding, helping these players understand that you know football. You hope it's a forever thing, but if it's not, that education is so important. So, I think all of that combined, and presenting that to the players so they understand that, I think that's a big motivating factor. And obviously a lot of these guys want an opportunity to go play college football. So, putting all that together and showing them what it takes to get to the next level, I think is a big motivator as well for a lot of these guys.
You had, excuse me, you had 17,900 donated to you, and this was from the Baker Mayfield and Emily Mayfield Foundation.
Yes, sir.
You guys had said here that before the season started, you needed equipment for both junior varsity and varsity, and it would have the whole season could have been in jeopardy if you hadn't gotten that. Would that be true?
I wouldn't say the whole season was in jeopardy. The story's kind of taken on a
A life
path.
of its own.
It's really has. It's taken on a
Okay.
path of its own. Obviously, this story itself is just an incredible story. I
So
think
how did that come about?
we have a parent in our program who graduated from OU, from University of Oklahoma, and
Boomer Sooner.
yeah, oh, Boomer Sooner, you guys are
Yes,
Boomer
sir.
Sooners.
Right.
Yeah, her name is Stephanie Starkey, and she graduated from OU, and she's been a big Baker Mayfield fan, so she's followed
Hmm.
Baker in his career, and she's the one that knew about the Baker and Emily Mayfield Foundation. So When I took over in February, I walked into the equipment room and, as a head coach, part of our job is making sure that year after year you're on a cycle when it comes to helmets and shoulder pads. So, you never run out, and you constantly want to make sure safety is a big part of our sport, right?
Correct.
So, you constantly are having to keep up with what is the best helmet, what are the best shoulder pads, and how are our players going to be best equipped? Because again, that's a big factor in my job, is making sure these players are safe. So when I walked in, we were in it was in bad shape. The equipment was in bad shape. A lot of stuff hadn't been done for the last, well, really almost the last 6 years that I had been gone.
Mm.
Not a lot was being done. So, we obviously, the season was never in jeopardy or anything like that. But it's tough to raise funds nowadays.
Hmm.
These for high school football programs. There's not a lot of money given to you. You have to go out and earn everything and fundraise and do those things. And with us, we wanted to make sure that our players were going to be equipped the best in the county, but not only the best in the county, but better than what they were being. And
Was that a shot in the arm when you received the money from?
oh, it was. I mean, it's huge. I mean, something like that. I think when we reached out to them, you never know when you do something,
Hmm.
and they're busy, and they have a lot of stuff going on. And so we reached out to them, and we weren't really knowing what to expect back. And when we got the letter back, I mean, it was very humbling. It was one of those things where you're taken back by it, because it's an incredible thing when a professional athlete, somebody that's at that level, of being, so well known, and he's one of the best at his position in the NFL. So he's one of those top guys, and for Baker to use his platform to help out a community and help out a group of kids, it's huge. And I think the story within this story is that what Baker did, it taught our players that the importance of, if you can help out a fellow human being,
Hmm.
take the opportunity, right? Because what Baker did is going to stick with our players forever. And when they are put in that position down the road, and we tell them all the time, like, don't forget your journey. Don't
Hmm.
forget the journey that got you here. Um, when they are put in that position down the road, which we all are at one point or another, we are all put in a position where we can help out a fellow human being. It's going to get paid forward. And I think that's the story within this story. It's a great story. It truly is. Um, it's a great story, even though it wasn't like we
It's
weren't going to play a season.
so it's taking on a life of its
Yeah,
own, man.
it really had. But the motivation and what has been taught to our players through this whole process, and what they did to help us out, it's truly an incredible thing. And
No, this has
we're
gotten a
we're
lot
so
of
grateful.
attention too, right? So you were on. Were you telling me you were on CBS
Yeah,
because of this?
yeah, CBS, ESPN. It's made it nationally, because it is a great story when somebody uses their platform to do great things. I think, in our world, it's so much negative all the time. It feels like,
Right.
and these positive stories are incredible. And I think, for the Baker and Emily Mayfield Foundation, they did this just to help out a community. They didn't ask for anything back. They didn't, so it's just it is it's an awesome act of kindness by them to help us out. And the stress that it took off of us was huge, right? Now we can just focus on football. Let's just focus on football and winning. And we were able to do that. But it has gone nationally. It's become a pretty big story. And, you know, we just feel so appreciative and blessed that we were you know, actually you know, we got the donation and we were helped out as much as we were. But I think too that the story is being told. I think that's awesome. That you know, it's great for our players again, so they understand like the significance of what happened and how big that was. So
Now, my
yeah, it's
wife,
been great.
she says that if you look good, you play good. And she decides who's going to win the game by watching the uniforms,
Right,
see who
right,
looks good in their uniform. I
right.
mean, did that have any effect this year?
That's not really, no. I don't know if that's
You wouldn't think
listen.
that's a part of football
Yeah, yeah.
strategy. Okay.
Joyce is gonna get mad at me, but no, no. I will always take Joyce's side. You know, I definitely think there is some truth to that. I do. I think there is some truth to that. But because I think you know, there's definitely a confidence that is created. You know, I mean, our players, every single player in our program now have they all have, you know, the Riddell Speed Flexes, the top of the line help. They all have brand new shoulder pads. So there's definitely I think a little bit of that going
Psychological
on.
advantage there.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do. But our sport is it's you know it's you have to have a different mentality to play
Hmm.
football. And you know, so there's a lot more that goes into it than that. But I do believe there is some truth to that. But yeah, yeah, again, you know, I think it's just I think it's an incredible story. And I think it's I think it's worth mentioning that, you know, Baker and Emily Mayfield went out and did this incredible act of kindness to a community that's, you know, all the way on the other side of the state.
That he had no interest, no stake in, right?
No stake in at
Now,
all.
he responded when you guys won the state championship. Did he call you, or I did see some reports that he
No,
commented on it?
he did. He commented on it in a press conference. And again, you know, we've gotten uh, it's kind of taken on a life of its own, you know, since. But yes, he commented on it. I mean, he's in the middle right now of a playoff run, so you know, we're not expecting any phone calls or anything right now. But maybe after the season,
Maybe he'll make an appearance.
we'll get to link up. And you know, that's something you definitely would love the opportunity face to face to shake his hand and to shake her hand and to let them know that what they did was huge and how appreciative we all are uh, in this community. Because it is, you know, when you win a state championship, it just doesn't affect your school and your players. In fact, it affects the entire community. And the Port St. John community is such an incredible community. They've been so good to me my entire career. It's where I started as a head coach, and they've always treated me good. So for us to have the opportunity to bring all of this back to the Port St. John community and to give them this is just very special. And it's something I'll always remember. But let me say this, you know, we're looking to two-peat, right? I mean, we're already thinking about next season. And that's the thing, is this is the youngest team I've ever coached in
Wow.
20 plus years, right? So, you know, when you have almost your entire team returning from a state championship, you're very excited as a head coach. So we have a lot of great young players that contributed throughout the entire season. And so this is not just going to be a one-time thing. Hopefully next year, about the same time, you and I are sitting here talking about two-time state champion Space Coast Vipers.
Is it hard to maintain the consistency, or is it the culture that you rely upon? That when you build a culture now, you're able to maintain a level of excellence?
Well, I think that's why it's so important to build one,
Hmm.
right? I mean, it's important to build one because once you've built it, it runs itself like a machine. The players understand, you know, this is Coach Owens's message. this is the older guys now, the upperclassmen now, they can pass that along to the underclassmen, and it kind of just runs itself, and that's the importance of, and why it's so important to build a great culture, because you want the players holding each other accountable. You want the players leading each other on the field. You want the players leading each other in the weight room. That's an important thing to have in a program, any program. It doesn't matter what sport it is. So, for us, now that we've established the culture, we've established the standard and the expectation of what it means to be a Space Coast Viper football player. And now that will just carry itself through, it's a very exciting time right now at Space Coast High School and around our football program. And the guys are already looking forward to getting back into the weight room and getting started back up again. And they're already talking about two-peating and running it back next year. So it's great, man. It's just exciting, and I'm just blessed and honored to be the head football coach.
Coach, congratulations, and
Thank you.
hey, we look forward to seeing you back here again the same time next year.
Count on it.
On that two-peat.
Count on it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on our sports edition of Brevard News, and a conversation with, and this week we've been talking to Space Coast head coach Jake Owens, the 2024 Atlantic 1A state champion, Space Coast Vipers. We'll see you again next time. Thank you for joining us.